You are being called to live in peace, on purpose, with passion and prosperity. But you can't do that if you haven't unlearned the crap. The crap that is disempowering you. The crap of conditioned responses and automatic programming. And that's what we're here to do. So that you can level up because you know your soul is calling. Welcome to Unlearn the Crap and Level Up TV with your host, Kathy Baldwin. Welcome to Unlearn the Crap and Level Up Your Soul is Calling. My name is Kathy Baldwin. I am your host, and I am so thrilled to help you with your Unlearning the Crap journey. Unlearn the crap, as you know, is the conditioned responses and automatic programming that go into the neuroprogramming of our brain. It is our limiting beliefs. It is our thoughts. It is our habits. It is our autopilot. It is also from our society, from our family, from our ancestral learnings. Crap is also a physical component because everything in our world is both energetic and physical. So what we think about, we bring about. And in our physical body, when we suppress, when we do not process our stress or our traumas, we create physical disease within our body. We change our gut microbiome, which creates inflammation, which is the root cause of disease, whether it is autoimmune disease or cancer or any other diseases. We have been able to scientifically now link it directly to our gut microbiome, which is a direct reflection of the thoughts we think. So the crap that we need to unlearn is that which will affect every area of our life. And today's guest is going to be an amazing conversation because we are going to talk about the feminine expression of sexuality, of orgasm, of spirituality, of empowerment. Today, we are going to go real and raw with Andrea Steigler from
Hungary.
Oh my goodness. I don't know why I had a brain fart there.
It's okay. And I'm not hungry at this moment because there are also some jokes around that. I remember I was in Germany and there was a big round table, and each country was representing themselves, and then someone made this joke that, "Are you hungry?" No, I said that I'm from Hungary.
I love that. Andrea, could you please tell everybody before we get into our fantastic conversation what crap you needed to unlearn so that you could level up?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. And then when you just share this, it started to arrive into my body, and every single word you were just saying, it was landing in me so deeply because I also recognized and working on this that all what we are carrying, um, reflecting our true essence in a one sense, and also what I needed to learn and unlearn, that how value is my worth, because my worth
Yes.
was defined by others, and you also mentioned my family, the society, the any kind of communities, the school, the different kind of ways how I connected with people, and I was so sensitive to really believe everything what I was told, how I was labeled. And I didn't question, because this was my natural state of being, that if someone told me something, even it was good or bad, I completely just absorb it, and I
Yep.
became one with it. And so it led me to really felt so much shame, because most of the time I got shameful and painful and criticism and judgmental labels.
Mm.
And most of the time I wanted to just disappear, to be transparent, to hide, to run away. And but most of the time I was just frozen and silent,
Yeah.
and I had no clue what I wanted, what I needed. um, and I remember that in the most difficult moments and most painful moments, even it was physical or emotional or mental, I had a dream. And this dream kept coming back in my dreams. And somehow it was that gateway to run away from the big pain in my body, in my soul, in my emotions. And it was a long journey, that I needed to realize that I'm much more than these labors. I'm much more worthy than
Yeah.
what others told me that I was, what others could see me, because I was different, because I was something special and unique. And even though I had all of this, and then I started to hide myself, that even through that, my my light was shining, and
Yeah.
others could feel that. So my learning process was to go back to this source, to find my true worth inside of me, no matter what others are telling me. And it's so beautiful how the word is reflecting on my healing journey, that several times I'm hearing from social media that there are trolls, there are a lot of negative comments, and I haven't received this in the last few years any. Even though I don't have so many comments because of the sensitivity of my work, but I'm so grateful that I could create that space. I'm really thankful that you are also created here for me, a really deep and loving and accepting safe space, that I could share this. I haven't shared this before from this
Well,
angle
before we
before.
go
So
too
this was the
deep,
first time what I was just sharing, that
yeah.
I haven't shared from this angle, my story. So I really appreciate that I could also reach from this connections.
Yeah. I love that. Before we go too deep in how you serve the world, could you please tell everybody who you are and how you serve the world now that you've unlearned your crap and you're leveling up?
Yeah, thank you. So as I just mentioned, in my healing journey, I spent the last 21 years on finding this worthiness, and also my uniqueness and my gems, and helping women to find their own source of pleasures, healing their traumas, transgenerational patterns, and also all of these limited beliefs, what holds us back to fully connect with our precious, beautiful, magical body and really feel and experience more pleasure, not just in a sexual way, but even with our sensuality, with our senses, and every single moment, and more moments than before, to come back home, to connect with this beautiful temple of our soul and enjoy this femininity and finding, and this is recently, I'm also working finding the harmony inside of us between the feminine and the masculine. Stop war, stop fight with others, stop finding responsibilities, or responsible persons, or blaming others or ourselves, but
Yeah.
really coming back to the present moment, more moments than before, and release the heaviness of the past, the heaviness of our history, and worrying about the future, and being in the present moment is so magical. This is so whole, and this is the moment when we can, through our body, we can connect with an infinite source, who we are,
Yes.
and also pleasure is our birthright, and also the shame, the guilt, the pain, the traumas, the abuses are disconnected us from really enjoy and feeling that we are loved, we are seen, we are heard, we are accepted, we are respected, and it's safe to be here. So this is the main, and I'm working holistically. I created an Empress O method, and I'm working mainly with women who already have any kind of feminine issues, feminine organ issues like cyst, myoma, endometriosis, womb polyp, infertility issues, or orgasmic issues, or vulvodynia vaginis, and cancer. And also recently, I have a big success with sclerosis multiplex as well.
Wow. Let's start with what is happening in our world right now.
Mm,
I believe that we are in a massive paradigm shift. We have had for thousands of years a patriarchy society where everything has been based on the 1% having control of money and power. And that included having control and power over women. And I believe that the reason women specifically have been suppressed and oppressed is because we are so powerful. And we are the opposite of the masculine. The feminine is chaotic, it is creative, it is magical, it is orgasmic, it is powerful pleasure. All of the things that you stand for. Are you seeing the place of diseases that you help people with because they are not in their pleasure?
absolutely, absolutely. And we always find a way and always find a source when happened first time, even in this lifetime, even in the past generations, even from history, because and it's so incredible that you started with my nationality, because Hungary is a huge and massive suffering nation. We suffered so much from Turks, from Austria, from Russia. So we were always like in a servant. And we had so many fights, wars, and revolutions, and
Yeah.
um, and so we were fighting for our freedom. We were fighting for our life. We had so many abuse in different ways. And it's very interesting now, recently, a few weeks ago, just started a brand new series around the Turks era in Hungarian. And I'm just watching. And through when I'm watching this series, then I'm also feeling this is something different, and this is how I can also do the healing work with ancestral, with our history, because it's very interesting uh, uh, that when we are seeing even just let's say simple movie, a lot of terrorism and war and fight and this kind of violence, but since this movie is on and this series is on, Hungary somehow is bubbling and a lot of things are happening because now we had films about this era a long time ago. So it's from a kind of like new point of views and with new and fresh energy. And I'm so grateful for this because from our perspective, from this new kind of like we are in a new age in a good sense that it's a new, as you said, a paradigm, because the previous films were around the 60s or something, so long time ago. And now we this movie could show different angles and different aspects we couldn't see before, and a
Yes.
lot of violence and especially against women, and how manipulating each other, how misled with power, as you just mentioned. And what I can see, our history could be really, really healed these days, because what we are carrying is not just our current life, it's not just our kind of like seven lifetime lineage, it's much more. We have this massive opening to really
Yes.
uh, heal that part of what I just mentioned. And I'm working so much in the harmony between feminine and masculine, because long way time ago, this fight started. And when it
Yep.
was matriarchy, there was a kind of like peaceful word. When there was equality between feminine and masculine, and somehow that with this unsatisfaction, this fight for power, for money, for different kind of material things started.
Yep. Yeah.
And what I realized, until I'm fighting, until I'm pointing out to others, until I'm blaming the men they are violated us, I cannot find peace inside of me. And this war could continue inside of me. And we cannot fight for peace. We
No,
can
we have
just,
to become.
yeah, yeah. Because what's happening, if I start to fight, there will be a fight against. And then this is kind of like fire onto the fire.
Yeah. Yes. And that's why coming to our peace, our pleasure, our joy, that is what we radiate out into the world.
Exactly.
There's a parable about somebody who spills a cup of coffee on somebody, and The parable talks about that it is what was in the cup that what spilled out. And so we have to be really careful about what is in our cup because it will spill out into the world. And so
Exactly.
coming to peace and pleasure and passion and prosperity, these are the fundamentals of what unlearning the crap is all about. I love the fact that both of us are from, I'm not personally, my grandmother was born and raised in Estonia, which
Mm.
is the western part of Europe, which was also inhabited and taken over by Russia. And they were very oppressed. And so I know for myself the traumas that my grandmother experienced, both from inheriting from her mother and the growing up in a very poor rural area, being under the World War II and the oppression, it carried through. And so what I found in my body were cysts and fibroids. I had to have a full hysterectomy.
Mm.
There were so many things that were being kept in my organs that were
Mm.
traumas that were carried over for generations. And you're helping women to release those traumas so they don't have to have the surgery and have parts of their bodies removed.
Exactly. And I'm so sorry that you had to go through all of this. And, my mother, and she has a younger sister, and also my grandmother went through all of this. And also, it's very interesting. My grandmother, hysterectomy for three of them, and with crampy, it started with crampy menstruation. And my mother's sister, she didn't give birth. And my grandmother passed away in a vaginal cancer. And it was the second time. And just recently learned that my mom's sister, my aunt, also had the first one. So once. And last year, my mother was also diagnosed with this. And
We carry it right in the organs of our body.
yes, exactly. And as I started my inner journey 21 years ago, I had no issue with all of these organ problems, also with the liver, with thyroid, with the kidneys, so all kinds of things. As I did my inner work, somehow I stopped this inheritage. And it was very interesting that I also had two times miscarriages, two times. And I
Oh,
was also, I would love to have a baby. And I'm 51 and I'm still in my cycles, and I'm still believing that there is something magical could happen through my body, and I can give, I can give a life to a human being. And the beauty of this that when my mom started the treatment, I got in the understanding and this insight that if I could give birth to a baby, I would inherit this cancer pattern.
oh,
And it was so beautiful to understand that my mom's uh, my mom's commitment was to close the cycle and not inherit it to me or to the future generation. And if i um, if I could give birth, then I'm naturally inheriting this pattern. So
Mm.
somehow there was a kind of like agreement between us that until she's not closing this cycle, that I'm not giving birth. And to look at this, it was such a huge relief that and I was supported her on her healing journey, and she's cancer free by now. So we got the results few weeks ago, and I think this is the first time I'm talking in public, so it's very yeah, just sharing this, because if we are ready, and if we are enough brave to feel safe to face with our crap, as you said, our inheritages, which are not allowing us to fully shine, to fully step into our power, then then the magic can happen. And we got all kinds of support. And even though it was really hard, but we have all the tools and support and everything, that my mom did this healing process so beautifully. Of course, it was very overwhelming for me, but the most important thing that because most of the time the diagnosis is an extra trauma. So if
Yes.
she's not going to the doctors, this could, because if the cancer is happening in the body, it's absolutely shows that the healing process started. So it's
Yes.
like when something is arise in the body physically, so when there is a symptom, even we don't have any very painful symptoms, if there is a diagnosis, which means that your body started the healing process of something. And if you are finding the source and the core of the diagnosis, the sickness, then you can immediately do the healing work.
Yes, yes, yes. One of the things that I learned on my healing journey was that everything is physical as well as energetic and emotional. And so I became an energy healer of the body code and the emotion code by Dr.
Mm,
Bradley Nelson.
yeah,
And what I learned was that when we release the trauma and the pain and the energetic connection within us, it goes back generations and it goes forward generations. We are the cycle breakers. And so your mother's journey through cancer and healing and becoming the cycle breaker is changing everything within all of that energetic connection because we are all interconnected.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So that's the magic also. Our body is storing everything. And only, in conscious mind, we can bring up seven, maximum seven. So kind of like 5 to 7 percentage. Can we imagine how much more is in our body? And our body is so magical and wise. So therefore, I'm also doing in person a very special trigger points massage, trauma massage, when we are looking for the different points in the body when these traumas, the abuses, even historical, are blueprinted. And it's so beautiful that there is a brand new kind of like reborn rebirth process, and everything which is ready to heal, to be healed, it happens, and the cycle is closed. And therefore, this is what I'm experiencing. It's really scary because I cannot go back to my loops, just kind of like self-pitying myself, or kind of like asking for help, for kind of like spending time with me, just feeling sorry for me, or feeling just worrying about me. No, it's completely gone, because we are born to really enjoy being here in this infinite abundance. And as you just mentioned, first it's coming energetically and also in our emotional body, and then at the end in our physical body. And before that, we always got signs. Hello, hi. That this is the sign you need to take account. And usually I'm saying that when there is um, unpleasant emotion or feeling or sensation in my body, it's always a sign. Or there is a person who hurts me, there is a sign that that there is a sign. I There is a new opportunity to close the cycle, and not
Yes.
just, oh my gosh, the same happened with me again. No,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
just
Yes. Yes. So let's go back to pleasure.
okay.
We've talked about the trauma and the effects of not being in alignment and not living within our pleasure bodies, not bringing joy and passion into the world. And one of the first things that you had said was that we needed to be able to bring pleasure to every area of our life. So I'm assuming you're talking about when we're doing things like cooking or bathing or driving, we bring in music, we bring in all of our senses. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, yes.
Bringing pleasure to every aspect?
Yes, because when I'm not in my mind, I'm not in because when I'm in my mind, I'm in the past or in the future. And then the only way how I can be in the present moment, when I'm fully connecting to my body, when I'm fully embodying my body, where usually what we are doing, focusing on the breath, right? This is the simplest way. But if I'm focusing on my breath, of course, my mind is going everywhere. And if I don't know how to feel safe, because I'm traumatized, I was abused several times, I'm scared, I'm worrying about everything, then I'm disconnected from my body.
Yes.
When and this is the main thing, and that finding the source of safety in my body. And I just mentioned my massage, that I'm always teaching, and all of my clients I'm teaching first to reconnect with their body in a way how you can create safety anytime. Because usually safety, what gives us safety, the if I'm asking this question, usually what we are saying: money, friends, family, home, work, right? These are the main
Yeah.
things.
All the
These are
foundations.
outside things. If I have it, I feel okay. If I don't have it, or I'm losing, or I'm lacking of something, then I'm scared. I'm
Yeah.
frightened. I'm worrying.
Which means we
That's
can't experience pleasure.
of course not. That's why it's very important. So the first kind of like 0 point is how I can create safety in my body. Because pleasure is not what we are doing. We cannot do pleasure. We are just receiving and enjoy. We are saying enjoying
Ooh.
pleasure, right?
Oh, you gave me goosebumps with that one. That is a mic drop moment. You are right. We can't do it. We can
Exactly.
only experience it. We can only
Exactly.
accept it. We can only receive it.
Exactly. And what we are doing all the time, do, think, and focusing on outside. Just we
Oh,
need,
I have goosebumps over this one
yeah, and even
because
this could be pleasureful, right?
yes, because the basic thing about being in our feminine is the receiving aspect. And we
Exactly.
can't receive if we're not feeling safe. if our stress has set off, if we're in fear, flight, or fight, if our central nervous system is on high alert, we can't experience passion and pleasure and peace. And
Exactly. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and so we need to create that safety.
Yes, yes, yes. Exactly.
How do we as women create that safe environment that says, yes, you can experience pleasure, you can feel it, it is safe for you to allow?
Yeah, the first, I think, what how you can do this, that sit in a space physically where you can feel safe. Even you can just close the door. Just create around you safety, and then start to feel with all of your senses. You know that I feel safe in this room. I feel that the chair is holding me, and so I also feel I feel that I'm held by the chair, by the floor, by the bed. And then look around, you know, with your physical eyes, what you can see, and focus on the further and the closer thing pieces, you know, that what is around you. And after that, you can either just smell in the air, or you can also either you can use essential oil or something, you know, just breathe in. Okay, this is the safety smell for me. Or you can also imagine, you know, what gives you safety as a smell. And also you can touch, or you can hold, you can hug yourself. Okay, now I feel safe around here. And
Can I interrupt you for just one moment?
sure.
Because what you just described was connecting consciously with our senses.
Yes.
With you went to smell, touch, sight, I'm sure even taste, all of these. Now we have 122 senses that scientists have discovered. What you're talking about is conscious engagement with the
Yeah.
connecting of our energy with our physical senses. Am I correct?
Absolutely. Yes, 100%.
Oh,
Yes, yes, yes. So first, kind of like feel in the air, and then I started to just feel the taste in my mouth. So even you start to consciously, and maybe if you are alone, you can also speak it out loud, because it gives
oh,
you more coming into the present moment. Even though you
yeah,
are carrying so much shame, pain, guilt, you know, traumas in your body, you can start to anchor, you know, that in the space around you, that you are feeling safe.
yeah.
And after that, you know, it started when I when I started to hug myself, and I started to feel, yes, I'm here in my body. And the next step could be for you that, you know, around you, you feel safe in the room where you are. So I suggest first time in the closed room, not in the
But we
nature.
but we can do this anywhere at any point in our lives.
Absolutely.
In a
Absolutely.
boardroom meeting, driving in our car, if at any point we feel that we are disconnecting or stressing out, we can use this to immediately come back and create the environment to allow us to receive pleasure at any time.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Ah,
yeah. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And then as you started to switch on and focus on and be aware of your senses, then
yeah,
you start to also kind of like feel that that's touching your body and feeling the physical boundaries of your body. And just think about that. How many times we are scared to touch our body? We are just kind of like very quickly and unconsciously, unrespectfully touching our body. So kind of like
Well, we were
slowing
taught
down.
shame. We were
Yes,
taught
absolutely.
shame.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And how many times we are judging by our thoughts, by our words, our body,
Mhm.
right?
So let me ask you this. There's almost not one woman that I've ever had this conversation with who is unable to touch their belly or allow anyone else to touch their belly. That is the area of our body that is the sacral center. It is right where our sexual organs are held. It is where we carry our shame. It is where inflammation hides when we have stress and we create this pouch. It is where our belly grows when we have babies. How do you help people remove the shame of this part of their body?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And before that, I would like to just add that in our womb, this is a sacred wisdom of our ancestral feminine. This is our creative center. This is our manifestation center. So, this is where we can manifest from our feminine, with our feminine energy. If we are just thinking, we were also talking about giving birth. How magical is our womb, right? So I've learned hundreds of different types of methods, and in my holistic method, in Empress O method, I combine all of this. So I'm also working energetically, emotionally, mentally, physically, and also not just this lifetime, but the transgenerational and also historical and the collective, because in the uh, collective group belief systems, there are so much, we are connected, so we can also disconnect from there. And my method is somehow like a ball, and most of the time while we are just in the loop, we are keep still in the loop, that we are looking them from here and there on there, and then our mind, which is a supercomputer, can find a way how to jump out. And my method is that, and I'm also using individually who what is needed at the present moment, because somehow I can give a very special present, be present with my clients, and finding the way, and then absolutely closing, and when these completely close the ball from all angles, then we can find the roots of the issues. And most of the time, so for example, for cyst, it's I can say it's simple to find one or two reason or cause of the cyst. In endometriosis, in infertility, there are so many, in so many kind of like different ways. And but this somehow, this is my magic, this is my gem, that you know I'm we are finding the last missing pieces, how we can close the cycles.
Oh, this is so exciting and so powerful. I want us to talk about the ultimate pleasure. We
Okay.
are almost out of time, and I cannot let you go
Yeah, sure,
unless
sure.
we talk about the big O, the orgasm,
Mm-hmm.
and how so many women can't feel that pleasure,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that there are so many layers that are in the way. What I'm hearing you say is that our pleasure is not only a right, but when we allow ourselves to receive and experience pleasure, we are affecting the whole collective.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love it. And also that there are so many misconceptions around pleasure. So now I kind of like, I feel that I could bring one. So the pleasure is not just sexual, and we can create so many ways and any kind of ways what you feel. I can usually say that what makes you smile, what makes you joy and happy, this could bring pleasure. And you can also use another words, but which is filling you up, filling your cup up. And also that orgasm, we are thinking, or so many women, first is that I don't have it, I'm not able to do that. And if someone told me that okay, just have a look at that. And it's always that because of the shame, the trauma, the abuse, we disconnected from our body. Our organs are working incredibly perfectly, just we have the this like a wall that I don't sense it, I don't feel it, I don't know whether it's there. And as I'm
Which,
also doing, yeah,
which
please.
is our consciousness, not our reality, right?
Exactly, exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So somehow there is like what I can say, there is a kind of like bubble around that or a wall. So I'm here and my pleasure is here. So therefore there is maybe I can show like this. So here is the pleasure, here is the pleasure, and there is a wall. So I'm outside of the wall. So therefore I have no connection.
But it's still
But I
there.
have the pleasure in my body. I have some reactions, but somehow maybe because of I was frozen, maybe because I was silenced, maybe because I was completely in my head. Therefore, I don't have connection. And just a quick story how I realized this, that um, a long time ago I had a partner, and I was so much busy with my work, and he was pleasing me all kinds of ways he could. He did his best and more. And I was like, almost. Oh no. I'm sure that you know what. Oh, and and then at the end, and then I was like, okay, I was not aware that I was completely disconnected. I was completely in my mind. And then once he just looked at me and he asked me that, are you with me? And I said, oh my goodness. It was like hitting these words, this kind of like very kind but really to the point question. And I realized that this was the moment when I started to realize that something is not okay with me, in a sense that I need to find a way how I can feel safe in my body, how I can allow pleasure in my body. And so, if you feel right now that you don't know how to have an orgasm, or if you feel that you can have orgasm only one way, for example, the clitoral orgasm, and maybe by just yourself, so kind of like with self pleasuring, and with partner it doesn't work, there is no problem with you. You just need to find a way how you can release all of these layers around your pleasure source. And the other way, the other thing around orgasm, what I usually, very often I'm hearing that I just have one types of orgasm, and I want let's say I have only one clitoral orgasm, but I don't have any vaginal orgasm. And most of the women are thinking that there are these two types of orgasm. And Mantak Chia is one of the main Taoist teachers. His book in the multi-orgasmic couples or multi-orgasmic feminine woman, he mentioned, it was written long time ago, he mentioned four types of orgasm. And personally, I can tell you that there are infinite types of orgasm because every single moment is different. And even though I'm doing most of the time, for example, the same, how I'm pleasuring myself or how I'm doing with my partner, I cannot experience the same because that moment is totally different than the previous one. And also the other misconcept that I want to feel the same as I felt it last time. You can never, because if you are kind of like setting that goal, I want to feel the same, then you are stuck in your head and you are not allowing your body to really unfold new types of pleasure and new types of orgasm. And there are so many ways. And then there is not just what you can see in the movies or in any kind of tutorials, because every single feminine body and even masculine body are completely different and unique. And what you can see, even in some, or even if you know, with your partner, you can see something you have never known or you have never imagined what was happening inside. Because if we are seeing something from outside, we can just imagine somehow and translate into our, you know, experiences or knowledges or something. But as our body is completely different, even, you know, our organs are more or less at the same spot, but we are experiencing every single moment something different. So I'm inviting everyone to open up and with curiosity, with kind of like with joyful curiosity, open yourself to experience something brand new, which is unknown, and we can scare from that. But definitely, if you can jump over of it, then you can experience something unique, something
Yeah.
magical, and something brand new.
And we can do that in every area of our life, not just sexual. We can
Exactly.
experience moments of pleasure, looking at the sunshine, feeling the breeze. As you have been talking, I have been consciously connecting with my own body and feeling the cells of my body come alive. And I have felt, even in this conversation, changes of pleasure and joy coming alive in me. You have brought the concept of pleasure to a place of joy rather than as a destination.
Yes.
Because so many times we think we need to get there, and it isn't getting there, it is opening up to receive what we already have. Thank you so very much. We could continue talking for hours because there are so many more things that I would love to be able to talk about, but we're running out of time. So
Yeah.
before we run out of time, could you please tell everyone who's listening how they can reach you if they want your help, your information, your guidance to help them heal whatever is physically in their way and experience a beautiful life of pleasure and passion?
Yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, I can also feel that we can continue for hours and days, definitely. And I hope that we will have another opportunity to talk from different angles. Yeah, you can find me on Girisha Andrea, all kinds of social media: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and TikTok. And I would love to also offer a gift as an ebook, which is an unapologetic pleasure guidebook, where you can also explore a little bit more what we were just talking about. We were just tapping into how you can create more pleasureful moments in your everyday life, and then how you can also build in your everyday habits, your everyday routine, just focusing on a little bit differently in even in your morning routine, or in the evening, or while you are eating, while you are driving, where you are just watching a movie or listening to music, or how you can fully embody this beautiful magical being who you really are.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Where can they find that gift?
Yeah, I can also share you, if it's possible, then a link where you they can get it.
Yes. I will make sure that in the show notes, the link is there that everybody can go and get their own copy. Because if you have experienced even a small moment of pleasure in this conversation, imagine what is possible if you can access all that is available to you. Thank you so very much for this conversation. Thank you for your openness and your vulnerability. And I absolutely have enjoyed every single second of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for holding space for me to really go deep and share all of this. Thank you very much, and thank you for our listeners and watchers. And I hope that you can get the most out of it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Don't forget that you can unlearn your crap and level up because your soul is calling, and you can live with peace, passion, purpose, and prosperity. You can have it all because you are worth it. You matter, and the world is waiting for you to level up. Until next time, thank you. Thank you for joining me on this episode of The Unlearning Curve. I hope you enjoyed it. If something landed for you today, make sure to follow, like, comment, and share, and check out all the other full interviews and other episodes of Unlearn the Crap and Level Up podcast, where you'll find deeper conversations, expert guests, and real stories from people just like you who are unlearning their crap and choosing clarity. Visit me at kathybaldwin.me and get all my free resources. Check out my coaching programs as well as my books. Until next time, keep showing up, keep unlearning, and keep leveling up because your soul is calling.